Days after the devastating Hamas strike, Israel stands on the brink of an intense decision, a full-blown ground assault on Gaza. With over 1,000 lives lost on Israeli soil and 2,600 people wounded, the call for action has never been louder. But as airstrikes have already claimed 900 lives in Gaza, a pressing question arises. Is Israel about to step into a carefully laid trap in Gaza? In today's video, we'll discuss the growing tensions between Israel and Gaza. With the backdrop of concerns that Israel could be walking into a trap in Gaza, we'll outline the possible hurdles and challenges that lie ahead for the nation. Stay with us till the end, where I'll give my personal take on the current situation. Clearly, Hamas was aware that their Saturday assault would corner Mr. Netanyahu into responding with a ground invasion. They also recognized that the advanced technology and might of the Israel Defense Forces might not be as effective in the packed streets of Gaza City, in the midst of Jabalia, Gaza's biggest refugee camp, or within the maze of Hamas's underground tunnels. Let's not forget Gaza, spanning 140 square miles and home to over 2 million people, ranks among the world's most densely populated areas. It appears Hamas aims to trap Israeli troops in a prolonged conflict, reminiscent of Hezbollah's strategy in southern Lebanon between 1985 and 2000. After enduring years of combat, Israel faced a chaotic and embarrassing retreat, consequently strengthening Hezbollah's position on its northern frontier. One might wonder, why is Hamas so intent on luring the Israel Defense Forces into a bloody ground battle? In Gaza, Hamas stands as the unchallenged force, especially considering there haven't been elections since 2006. Its main rivals like the Palestinian Authority, the predominant political party Fatah, the business sector, civil groups, and influential family leaders simply can't rival Hamas's power. Remarkably, after every clash with Israel, Hamas seems to emerge even more potent. Even with Israel's blockade and constant watch, Hamas appears to have fortified its arsenal, expanded the reach and precision of its rockets, advanced its combat training, and cultivated an intelligence network so adept that it could coordinate assaults on 22 Israeli locations simultaneously. It's becoming increasingly evident that Hamas is confident in outlasting the Israelis in a drawn-out war on its home ground. Here's an angle to consider. An Israeli invasion into Gaza might inadvertently bolster Hamas's political standing in the West Bank. A significant portion of West Bank's populace already sees the Palestinian Authority, which oversees parts of the Israeli-occupied West Bank, as weak, tainted, and disconnected from the people's aspirations. The recent Israeli intervention in the West Bank city of Jenin only served to underscore that Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority administration falls short in both safeguarding Jenin's residents and painting a vision for a brighter future. Should Israel proceed with a Gaza invasion, the stage might be set for Hamas to rally public sentiment, challenge the existing order in the West Bank, and perhaps emerge as the primary voice of the Palestinian people. In the broader region, Hamas can also count on its ally Hezbollah. The day after the Hamas attack in southern Israel, Hezbollah, presumably in an attempt to test the readiness of Israeli forces, engaged in fighting with the Israeli military along the northern border near Sheba Farms, land that is controlled by Israel but claimed by Lebanon. Hezbollah may seek to gain advantage if Israel is fighting Hamas in Gaza and the West Bank. Setting aside the horrific acts against civilians, Hamas's recent actions have potentially reshaped the political landscape in the Middle East. Their moves could derail the budding diplomatic engagements between Israel and Saudi Arabia. More so, if the situation in Gaza morphs into a prolonged ground conflict, the Abraham Accords, those landmark agreements binding Israel with the UAE and Bahrain, might be in jeopardy. While the Palestinian Authority failed to halt the Abraham Accords, the unfolding dynamics suggest that Hamas has the potential to unwind them. Undoubtedly, Israel can lean on the unwavering support from the US as it contemplates its subsequent moves. Demonstrating its commitment, the Biden administration has dispatched a carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean, aiming to adopt a deterrence posture. This move ensures that the Israel Defense Forces are bolstered with extra equipment and resources, including munitions. Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, promptly reasserted the US's backing for Israel right after President Biden's recent press briefing. Over the next week or so, Israel could destroy much of Hamas's infrastructure. The Israel Defense Forces will channel the outrage of the nation if it launches a ground invasion of Gaza, and will exact an enormous price for Hamas's massacre in the Kfar Aza kibbutz. And yet operationally Hamas complicates the Israel Defense Forces' freedom of action, given that it holds at least 150 hostages. If a ground war drags on, Israel would make battlefield gains but almost certainly fail to destroy Hamas's governing ideology, or the Palestinians' unrealized aspirations for statehood. To avoid the Gaza trap, Israel needs Arab allies on the ground and in the region. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Jordan have all regarded Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthi rebels in Yemen, and the Muslim Brotherhood as a collective strategic threat. To secure the allegiance of crucial figures in the region, Israel will have to offer major security concessions and intelligence in the event of a wider war with Iran, and set a meaningful and clear political horizon for a post-Abbas, post-Hamas Palestinian state. However, Mr. Netanyahu grapples with significant trust issues both at home and among Israel's Arab counterparts. Perhaps only a genuine unity government can counter the Hamas challenge through transformative regional diplomacy. Such a victory might mean the end of his leadership. The days ahead will be bloody and difficult for Israelis and Palestinians. Hamas may well have set a trap if it induces an Israeli invasion of Gaza. Before Israel makes that call, it needs to have a strategy for exiting Gaza and a plan for the day after. An Israeli miscalculation in Gaza could trigger a crisis in the Middle East that lasts for generations. My take on the ongoing Gaza situation is this. It's evident that Israel might be on the edge of a complex and strategic trap. The retaliation to Hamas's provocations is both expected and unavoidable. While the rising civilian casualties may draw global criticism towards Israel, Hamas's audacious actions put Israel in a position where it might feel morally justified in its response. The ultimate goal for Israel could be to decimate Hamas's capabilities to a point of no return. Yet Israel is no stranger to the cost of conflict, and seems prepared for significant sacrifices. The involvement of hostages makes the equation even more complex. Israel's main aim? Cripple Hamas's infrastructure even if it means considerable collateral damage. This strategy, however, comes at a price, Israel's own losses. Factor in the hostages, and the situation grows murkier. Post-conflict, Israel will face a daunting reckoning, but all isn't lost. Bridges with the Palestinian Authority can still be rebuilt. Engaging in sincere talks with the PA could be the key to a lasting peace solution. As for the trap set by Hamas, it reminds one of historical military blunders, where superiority complex led to unexpected challenges. Rubble and high-tech don't mix. Urban warfare in demolished streets is a nightmare. Tanks can't navigate blocked lanes, leading soldiers into treacherous house-to-house combat. History is filled with instances where revenge clouded better judgment, leading to long-drawn conflicts and destabilization. Sadly, in wars like these, both sides tend to overstep, hinting at potential war crimes. We must wait and watch where this road takes both parties. As this complex situation continues to evolve, staying informed is crucial. Keep following us for timely updates and comprehensive insights on these unfolding events. If you find our content valuable and wish to stay in the loop, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thank you for your continued support.